What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Imagine That. We are continuing our series of the Imagineer Pyramid. So we are so glad you are here to listen to us. We want to thank our sponsors, Where in the Park, Getaway Today, and Sunken City Design, as well as our lamplighters who recently have gotten a new piece of the Waltz apartment. We are now active on Discord. We have our free version and our lamplighter version, which allows you to deep dive into the show notes with all of our hosts. So if you have not checked that out, check our links out into today's description and join today. I am joined here by our other fellow armchair Imagineers, Kevin, Amanda. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing awesome. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys just traveled the world for the Imagineering project, so I'm looking forward to seeing that roll out.
Yes,
Yeah, I know we definitely spent a lot of time on the other side of the country and in the middle of the country, I guess, in Texas, going to different theme parks and seeing how they do things. And built our appreciation for what Disney does, obviously. They didn't have quite the music tie-ins and theming tie-ins that we're used to, but you can see them trying in different spots, and it's nice. So we can only hope for the best as time continues.
We definitely had our armchair Imagineering hats on the entire time because we were walking through going, okay, where's the transitions here? You know, every step in the Imagineering pyramid that we've already discussed and what's to come to, we're like, okay, this park can completely be redone. So there's some good things, you know, and we all know Disney isn't perfect either, right? And there's certain things that can be enhanced there too, but it just gave us a better appreciation for the efforts that Disney puts into their parks. And yeah, it was a great experience to experience how different theme parks do different things, but it's good to be back.
Definitely.
I can only imagine. I do find myself in certain events thinking like, man, is this is what it is? We've recently traveled to SeaWorld a lot more. And I'm like, this could be so much better. But hey, who am I to judge? During your guys' journeys, though, we had an unfortunate loss in the Disney family. Richard Sherman passed away. I want to say, and I hope I'm getting it right. I want to say 91?
95, right?
95. Sure. 95 years old. Richard Sherman, known for songs from Mary Poppins, Jungle Books. One of the songs we're going to be talking about today, Small World. Not just Richard Sherman, obviously his brother Bob Sherman as well, but Richard Sherman, one of the two Sherman brothers that has been with us up until just recently, has unfortunately, after a wonderful life, and we're going to talk about a piece of that today, as well as our next episode. We'll be talking more about him. But he unfortunately passed away. And question to you guys. If Richard Sherman and Bob Sherman, but Richard Sherman primarily right now, didn't have a presence in Disney, what do you think the Disney company, as a company, because obviously they had their finger in as many projects as much as Walt, if not more, you would say, what do you think the Disney company would look like if the Sherman brothers never made their presence?
You know, with theme parks, at least, and Mary Poppins, if anyone knows the history behind MAPO, it's the department at Disney that kind of designed all of the rides from after Mary Poppins till at least, I think, 10, 15 years ago. It was so integral in designing the modern day theme park. And it was only available because of the money from the success of Mary Poppins. And Mary Poppins was only successful because of all the work done by the Sherman brothers. I don't think anyone would argue against that if you've seen any documentaries on them where they created every song in that movie. The entire story of that movie was created by the Sherman brothers. So I don't think that the Disney we know today would exist how it is today, if it would exist at all. Because I know Disney kind of had a history of going all in on all of his projects. So if it wasn't for the success of Snow White, obviously, or Mickey Mouse, you wouldn't have the next step along the way. And Mary Poppins was the next step in theme parks. Because Disneyland wasn't making a ton of money on its own to be able to afford to make any progress in roller coasters and themed environments that they were able to do because of that extra influx of money. and that's all tied right back to the Sherman Brothers. So yeah, I can't even imagine what it would be without those two guys.
I think it would be completely different, not just for Disney as a company, but for the theme park industry as a whole. I don't think that you would have the theme park industry as big as it is. And, would there still be Universal? Would there still be Six Flags? Sure. But that's questionable, right? Like, how big would it be? Because Disney is the gold standard. And would there be as many parks? Would it be as great as the parks are today? I don't think so. And we've talked about in different shows. There's obviously different pieces that go into making Disney what it is, but I think the Sherman Brothers are such an integral part that if they are not there, I agree with Kevin that it's not the same.
I don't think there's
Disney
anyone
doesn't
who was
exist.
there to like fill in for their shoes. It's not like Walt went to them because they were one of the many people to go to. Like they were the go-to for this.
The guys,
There wasn't a backup plan,
they're
which
the
is
boys.
they are the boys, yeah. So it's just an
Absolutely.
amazing.
And you had in Walt's bag of teammates, I guess you could say, that was the music department. I mean, he had people that I need you to give me a story. I need you to give me an image. I need you to give me sound. And Mapo, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Mapo, where the building that housed Mapo is today's Imagineering building. It's the same location. So, I mean, what we talk about today wouldn't be here without the success of Mary Poppins. Could it have been here in a different style? Sure. But I don't think it gave Walt that piggy bank to say, let's try all of this. And so it's interesting how a piece that they created, and we're going to talk about that today with the Small World Effect. The piece that they brought to the table is such a crucial piece. Not that any piece that we have talked about here in the pyramid, the Imagineering pyramid, now that you can build a pyramid without any of these pieces, but I feel like the piece that the Sherman Brothers brought is a core piece. Like so many other pieces of this pyramid branch off of being supported by sounds, by music, and it was a hard loss for the Disney family. I mean, Disney family as in the Disney company, but I mean, anyone that read up, watched anything about Richard Sherman, I mean, you go back to any scene that people talk about, Feed the Birds, and that was just a tearjerker and all. Like, that song got Walt through challenging times from all different articles and stories that I say, hey, that song, he can be making another project and not be the song he listened to. So, I mean, not to try to get too sentimental with it, but our hearts and thoughts go out to those that are really, where this is hitting harder than just the Disney fan base, because I'm sure there are loved ones that are really missing that family figure in their family. We do hope that they're doing all right.
Absolutely.
But to switch it up and bring it back to a highlight, the Small World Effect. The Small World Effect, and no, we're not talking about going through that ride. And, well, I guess, no, we are. It's that attraction that, what gives that ride the re-rideability? What is the Small World Effect? And the homework I've gotten on it, the homework that my teammate who's not here, you haven't heard from Sam, guys. Sam is out somewhere. But the Small World Effect, it's that musical presence that gives rides that re-rideability. Why do you want to rewrite it? Why do you enjoy it? What gets stuck in your head that reminds you of it? I mean, when anyone says in the general outside world of Disneyland, like, oh, it's a small world, there's a good 8 out of 10 chance that if you're a Disney fan, that common phrase doesn't go on her, where you all of a sudden you hear the do 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 do, and you're like, oh man, thinking of that attraction. So it's pretty intense what they did musically for the rewritability. But I'm gonna throw that to Kevin and Amanda. What intrigues you guys about the Small World Effect?
Well, I think it's such an integral part to anything that you're designing. And back to what we were saying in the beginning, not all parks can implement it. And Disney does it so well because it is such a core piece of the pyramid, right? That's why there's a whole section dedicated to it. Is that each ride has to have a soundtrack. Each land has a soundtrack, and without it, whether you have an area that has no sound or you have an area or an attraction that has sound that is so off that it pulls you out of the theming of that area, it's important. And I think that with that we what am I trying to say? What's my main point? Is that that it's so key. It is so important, and it's one of the things that we don't really think about when we are walking through a Disney park in general or a Disney attraction. So Kevin, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think Disney does it better than anyone else. Like we just said, we went to several theme parks in Texas and Pennsylvania and a few in New York, and we went on many rides. I think only one had a song even in it. Over at Six Flags over Texas, there's a Pirates of Spelunker Cave. I'm not sure if that's even how you're supposed to. I think it's Spelunker. It's kind of a weird ride. It had an odd song in it that did not get earwormed into my head at all. It wasn't repeating the point of the ride, like It's a Small World or the Tiki Room, which are Sherman Brothers songs. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that if you do it correctly, it's amazing, and it's gonna stick with you after you're home from the park, you know. And I think that's kind of the point of this whole Imagineering block, is that you're trying to build something that will have someone who have it where people keep thinking about what you have created for them, something that they have experienced. And you love it or hate it, It's a Small World is a song that gets stuck in your head. I know when I was younger, I didn't love it, but as I got older, it kind of grew on me. Um, I'm sure there's many other people like that as well. But yeah, I don't know. What's your opinion on this, Lou?
Well, a couple things. Soundtrack. I mean, soundtracks are commonly known as like, hey, this is your list of songs, you know? But for some of these attractions, Jungle Cruise, for instance, Jungle Cruise is just sounds of animals. And the skipper's selling you the best popsicle stick jokes you've probably ever heard. But like overall, it's the sounds of the animals. But or like when you go into New Orleans train station. So I was at the parks this weekend, and we pull up to New Orleans station, and it's closed right now for the renovation of Tiana's Bayou Venture, Haunted Mansion. But the
Morse code.
What's up?
The Morse code. So we're talking
Yes,
about.
the Morse code wasn't on, and I was like,
no.
and you pull into the station, and it felt weird because that is just a key sound that you. When you get in the New Orleans station, it's that Morse code. You hear it. You just know right where you're at, and it really pulls in that train station. And it wasn't on. But I mean, the Morse code. I mean, you go into what the Morse code is saying, and that's Imagineering times 10. But they're the little sounds. Another one that I noticed over the weekend was when you go into Toontown and you go under the train station, you get that Toontown Roger Rabbit bonkers like magician sound, letting you know you transitioned into a land. And it made me realize that not just music plays a key part, but it's how the music is translated. It's how the sounds is translated. The Tiki Room, I mean, that's a full presentation. And if you were to turn that sound off, there are some Disneyland enthusiasts that love the actuator sounds and the Tiki Birds. But you turn that off, and what is it? It's nothing. I mean, there's nothing there that really entices you to go in there. So it's the word soundtrack, I think, is sometimes so looked over that the sounds, it's like, no, you need these. The little sounds. Tomorrowland Station. If you don't have that, the motors of Autotopia, which if they go electric, I hope they pump that sound in there. When you pull into Tomorrowland Station, it's that sound. If that sound's not there, something's missing. Hearing the horn off the monorail, now granted, those are other layers of Imagineering, and we've talked about those, but the sounds in the park give it that rewritability. When you hear that fairy sound when you scan in with your magic key holder and you hear that, you know you're at Disneyland. It sets the vibe. So I think the sounds in Disneyland are not only key to Imagineering, but I am thankful for what the Sherman Brothers did and showing the importance of it when you stay strong with it. And I hope Disney doesn't ever let up on that, because what we've seen recently with the new Tiana's Bayou, I think the music is one of the strongest features on there, and I am excited for it.
I've been avoiding the spoilers on that. We're planning to go to Disney World in September. I'm like, can I last 3 months without being spoiled on the story? We'll find out.
Oh, I know we'll get there when the time is right, but I jumped in there like a fat kid eating cookies at midnight. I was excited. I was excited because I wanted to see. Everyone knows my favorite ride, Splash Mountain. So I was like, please let me see what you gave us. And currently, this is not the show for it, but I'm a 7.5 out of 10.
That's pretty high.
That's for you.
Yeah.
That's a A++, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're graduating with that number.
Yeah, it's the highest it gets.
But I love that you were talking about the different sounds within the parks. And as a Disney fan, I know exactly what sound you're talking about with all the examples that you gave. And
I can hear them too.
Yeah. And I think, to your point about the Tiki Room, not just with the show itself, but with that pre-show in the beginning with the drums and the instruments and the Tiki gods doing their thing. Like, you can hear that from certain areas of around the hub and just a little bit.
Especially.
But that draws you in and it gets you excited. And that music alone, just that drum beat, you're like, I'm going on an adventure. Let's go. Where are we going? And it pulls you in. And so those little sounds also have that It's a Small World effect, because it gets stuck inside your head. We all know the songs on Main Street. We all know, that Toontown sound as you go under the bridge. And even some of the songs played at Toontown now. They're all such integral parts of the park. And I can't even imagine not hearing the Morse code, because that
sounds
would be
eerie
so jarring to me.
Yeah, I remember years ago they changed the audio for the Matterhorn. For anyone who's listening who knows, like, the permanencer sentados, por favor, after the whole like remain seated please. They changed the wording on that for like legal reasons, I guess, at the time. And there was just this uproar of like, why did you change the thing that I've been coming to the parks forever? I know this sound. It was It's a Small World effect right there, because people were used to it saying what it says. And when they changed it, there was like, nope. So they switched it back after like a month or two.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I know what they're saying because of what they're saying in English. I'm like, okay, I know what they're saying, but I know in certain dialects it's the formation of words change. But as soon as they go into another language, for me, it's like a song. It's like, don't you skip that. I know what comes next. So it's funny you mentioned that, because I enjoy it. Don't know an inch of Spanish to save my life. Or on Small World, I think there's like 4 other languages on there, because obviously it's a more heavy attraction for everybody of all cultures. And I know when one's missing, it's like, well, you guys didn't do that one. Would you run it back? And I don't know what they're saying. I have an idea, because obviously I got the English version, but it's funny you mentioned that. I thought I was one of the few people that paid attention to that, but I appreciate you for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Also, over at California Adventure, you have the Pelton wheel. I don't know if anyone else has ever been over by the Grizzly River Run. If you haven't done it before, go stand by that big wheel that spins, and there's a sound that plays like every few seconds there. I want to say it's just coming from a speaker, because we've been there where the wheel isn't turning and that sound is still happening, but it sounds like this mechanical, like, I can't really yeah, something like that, where it just happens repeatedly, and you think it's because of the mechanics, but it's it's a small worlding you into getting used to being in that little area as you walk by. So you probably don't even notice it consciously if you haven't heard it before. So I recommend stopping by there and just stopping for a listen. It's worth it.
Absolutely. And transitioning to our next topic real quick, and I'm gonna throw this out there, but we'll pick it up on our armchair Imagineering one. I'm curious, what sounds in the parks are there that we think are real songs, but are in fact piped in sounds? And that's kind of a little tidbit. We're going to hear from our sponsor before we get to our next subject. But songs that are hidden, but that we think are real natural sounds, but they're in fact piped in sounds. I have a few theories that we'll bring up on the next episode, but we're going to hear from a word from our sponsor and come back talking about things that are hidden in the parks.
Where in the Park Seek and Find Image Scavenger Hunt games will have you exploring theme parks like never before. But this is not like your childhood scavenger hunts. There are no word-based lists of items to find or a binder of riddles, trivia, math, or counting. Our games contain cards with images of details that can be found throughout the park just by walking around. You can play on your own schedule, so you don't have to worry about long lines, height requirements, or health concerns. Need help finding an image? We've got you covered, with hints and answers on each card so you're never left wondering where in the park the image can be found. Use the Scan Before Playing card to reveal an alternate image if one of the cards in your pack is currently hidden or removed from the park. Order today to get game packs for your next visits to the Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World theme parks. But the fun doesn't stop there. We also have games for Universal Studios in Hollywood and Florida, Knott's Berry Farm, Six Flags, SeaWorld, and more. Ready to experience your favorite theme parks in a whole new way? Go to www.whereinthepark.com/WaltzAPT podcasts to get 10% off your order. A portion of the sale will also go to support the Waltz Apartment podcast. Want $10 off your order instead? Visit patreon.com/WaltzAPT podcast to become a lamplighter. With so much more to discover, the only question is, do you know where in the park?
We absolutely do know where in the park. They are here chatting with us today. And speaking of where in the parks, well, we had someone finally show up, and we don't know where they've been. Sam has joined the chat.
I'm like Moana. When the water calls, I must go.
So you were swimming?
I was
Like a
fishing.
bathroom break?
Oh, okay, makes more sense. Gone fishing.
I was
Classic Sam.
fishing.
How are you,
Sorry.
Sam?
I'm good. I just got back from fishing. I'm great.
Did you catch anything big? I mean, how'd it go?
Not big, but I mean, I caught a whole lot of bluegills, which are fun to catch, even though they're little baby fish to catch, but bait fish. But we had some catfish bites and some bass, so it was a good time.
Heck yeah.
But I'm here.
Well,
I'm here. And Lou, you were doing a great job without me, so I just kind of, sat in the back and was listening to you for a second.
I mean, I had it full screen. I didn't know where. I'm at my home setup for those that are listening, and I don't have the matrix set up, so I couldn't see who was behind scenes. And when I cut for our sponsor break, I was like, "Oh, well, Sam is here." So appreciate that. But speaking of where in the parks, kind of leads into our topic. Amanda, what is our next topic?
Our next topic in the pyramid is about hidden Mickeys. And hidden Mickeys are awesome. For those who don't know, a hidden Mickey around the parks is a partial or a complete image of Mickey Mouse that has been strategically placed by Imagineers and artists and designers throughout Disney attractions and in the lands themselves. And it could be in the hotels or the restaurants, stuff like that. And it's supposed to be like blended in with the surroundings, but keen observers will know where to look. And there's been plenty of books published that will help guide you into finding these images But there's plenty of examples. But I want to go around the room real quick and find out what your favorite hidden Mickey is at a Disney park. We will start with you.
Oh, that's a hard one. I have so many that I want to consider favorites. Let's see. I'd probably go with the fountain one in Downtown Disney, the flower. That's the geyser. And the reason I say that is because that was the first one that I showed my kids. And every time we get off the trams, if there's anybody with us that they feel has never been to Disneyland, they're like, "Oh, Dad, we got to show them the hidden Mickey." So we go and show them the hidden Mickey. So I would say the fountain one in Downtown Disney is probably my favorite, just because my kids know that one and they love that one. So for that, that's my favorite.
Where exactly is the hidden Mickey on that fountain?
So when you go get off oh, Amanda, I'll let you have it.
No, go.
So when you get off the tram and you are cutting in towards World of Disney, it is the leaf that is the closest to the last point you can stand. So you go as far as you can on the flower to the right, the leaf you can see the side of, it is about, I'd say 6 inches from the edge and about halfway down. And you'll see it because the tiles are misaligned. Mm-hmm.
I'll look for it next time.
Yep. If you are in our Discord, next time I'm in the park, I will post it in the Where in the Park chat. Again, link to our Discord. It will be in the show notes below.
Awesome. That's a good one. Sam, what's your favorite one?
I have two that are at the Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom. So the Grim Reaper's hand in the graveyard scene, the left hand forms a hidden Mickey. And in the dining room scene, well, the ballroom scene, the table has the arrangement of a hidden Mickey with the plates and saucers. So
yeah, that one's not always there, right?
That one's not always there. That one depends on if it's set up while they're cleaning or not.
I've heard the Imagineers didn't set that one up, and they don't like when the cleaning crew does it, but the guests love it, so it's that constant battle.
Yep.
And I think that would be something like what we were talking about with the It's a Small World effect. If you went into the Haunted Mansion and the plates were not there in the shape of a hidden Mickey, everyone would be in line for guest services to file a complaint. Like, you have to have that one.
To channel my inner Lou, I feel like with hidden Mickeys, I appreciate them, but I don't actually love them. I think they're okay. I would be okay without them. That's just me.
I think it's the message behind them. It's like the magic behind them, the thought that went into them. That's what makes them special, because like these things had to be carefully thought out. They are carefully placed with us in mind. And it makes it special because it's like, oh, we want to create this magic. To me, that's what makes them.
I think there's a line between them wanting to and them feeling like they have to. And I don't know. It's just kind of a weird.
So
well, it's their job.
I like the hidden Mickeys that you can tell are. So hidden Mickeys for me are almost like vinyl records. You don't know why there's that notch in the vinyl. You don't know what happened for that notch to get there. So for the certain hidden Mickeys that are like just 3 rocks in the perfect shape, or like the tiles and the flower, it may have not been an Imagineer's decision to do that, but say the construction worker just having a little fun saying, you know what, that's my little signature. Those ones are fun. The one that we talked about in the previous episode in Hollywood Studios, where it's like, hey, the plaza's Mickey's face, and now we're just going to butcher it. Well, you just kind of screwed yourself on that one. So the obvious intentional ones I'm not a fan of, but the ones that, like, if you can question if it's an intentional one or non-intentional one, for instance, the Haunted Mansion plates. What custodian did that? What cleaner did that? Was that their last time doing it? Was it their first time doing it? When it leads those questions, I enjoy them. When it's blatantly obvious, like that's what they were doing.
Oh, so it has to help tell the story?
Yeah, if it's part of the story, I'm like, yeah, you could miss me with it.
But I feel like there's a common theme here that we've been talking about. Yeah, it wasn't, but
I think the more subtle, the better. I agree with what Lou's saying.
But for us, it like that becomes part of the story for us. Look at, we just had a whole conversation about the custodians creating this hidden Mickey that the Imagineers aren't particularly fond of. So when we can create different backstory from it.
Subtle Mickeys that I appreciate over by the now Pixar Place Hotel. It's not in the park, but it's just the city streets and the sidewalks. They set up to look like a Mickey head if you look at it from like a satellite view. You can barely tell. Like, I remember walking through it at least 2 or 3 times before I started realizing, like, why do I have to walk so far out of the way on the sidewalk? Where I kind of like understood, oh wait, I'm walking on half of a Mickey head right now. And yeah, I like that. Like, where it's just kind of, it hits you afterward, not so much when you see it and go, yep, they put that there because they had to put a nod in because that's what we do now. But I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on that.
Amanda,
That
what's your
one's my
hidden
favorite
Mickey?
one. That one's
Oh, that
my
one is
favorite
never
one as
mind.
well, but I will give you an honorary mention because my all-time favorite hidden Mickey is no longer there. So it was back when the Letters of California were in front of Disney's California Adventure. And behind the R, there was a glass hidden Mickey, within the mosaic of the concrete. There's usually like a trash can by it. But there was a glass hidden Mickey there behind the R, I believe. So that one is my honorary mention.
Man, I don't have too many memories of the California Letters, so I wish I would have saw it.
You still
I wish
can.
they put that in place up in over at the Sacramento Fairgrounds or the California Fairgrounds, whatever they call that area, and put in Sacramento.
Yeah,
I didn't look for the Mickey though when we went up there.
Well, the Mickey's not there because the concrete's different.
Yeah, they could have still put it in though, but
I'm not going to redo the entire concrete over there.
they had to put the letters in.
They're not going to add the hidden Mickey there.
Oh,
I've been there. I've been to the Letters. I've seen that there's no
you
hidden Mickey
for it.
behind
I
it.
didn't check for it. All right, that's a shame.
Man, yeah, the hidden. What really gets me with the hidden Mickeys is the new versions of the hidden characters. So I don't know if you guys, I see it, but I don't see it. The hidden Goofy on Pirates. Have you guys seen that one?
Every time.
Is that intentional?
I can never tell if it was on purpose or just someone noticed it. Hey, that kind of looks like Goofy after it was built. I don't know.
It's got to be intentional. There's no other reason for it to be that shape.
Could be like, this looks kind of like a rock to me. It's a Rorschach test at the very least.
Pretend it's a seed.
Right. So I don't know. It's like the chair in the Haunted Mansion looks kind of like Donald. Where, according to, I think Rolly Crumps, it was where straight out said, that's an accident. I just thought it would look cool as a face on it, not to have it look like Donald. But I guess I see what you're saying, So it could be us just interpreting the art, which is also fair as far as our viewpoint goes.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think that rounds out our episode for tonight. A little shorter one, but give you a sneak peek of what we are doing for our Armchair Imagineering. I don't think we've done that before. We are adding songs to attractions that do not have songs that can be improved by songs, and our Imagineer focus for the next episode is Richard and Bob Sherman. If you are hearing this, you've already missed it. But as we wrap up this episode, we are all joining a watch party on our Discord, another shameless plug for that, to watch The Boys, which is a biopic about Richard and Bob Sherman. So if you haven't joined our Discord, please do, so that way you can see all the new behind-the-scenes stuff that we are doing. But until next time, do you guys have any last words before we close it out? Still working on the ending. I'm sorry, guys.
See you guys next time.
All right, guys. You guys enjoy your day, your night, wherever you are, and keep on imagining.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past. And here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.